Last time, what we did here was to see that, okay, how the market looks like and what is the structure of the whole business. So who are the main market players? How can we make money in this market? And at the end of the day, we realized that we have to meet two aspects. So what is really important for us that we have to cut costs somehow, because in this case we can increase launch numbers, and this is how we can earn some profit. So because otherwise, yeah, with launching 2 times, 3 times, at most 5 times in a year, mostly the company will just struggle to survive, and we are not able to expand, and sooner or later politicians will remove funding completely from the program. So our objective today is to design something which is aiming at least this gray level. So we would like to reach the launch cadence in 2025, the mysterious and highly welcomed 52 launches per year. So it means that in each week we have a launch, and this can be realistic because SpaceX is doing this, so companies can do this. So okay, and obviously we have several assets. So if we are checking the Booksetarian group, then we can find details about the profit and loss statement. But the problem is that even if we are looking on the asset structure, then they don't have so much cash reserves. So practically this is close to zero. So yeah, it's a problem. So they have 2.4 million euros. So this will hard to start any kind of development. But the great or good news is that if we are looking on the liability side, then we can see that they don't have long-term debt. So we can see that long-term total 2.5 million euros. So practically, if we are able to issue some bonds on the market, then we can get funding for our project. So at least we get a runway. So even without any kind of venture capital funds or anything like this, on market basis, we can do something like this. Okay, so after that, after we can identify the key problem, that now we have at least some opportunity to fund ourselves, we need to build up something. So we already have these engines, so now we should see that, okay, let's put something together which is able to fly. So I will build up. Last year I was using this SLE 200, but it would be boring to do the same thing again, so I will create something else. And also we should, mostly we don't care about fuel, because I was able to show you that it's highly negligible from economist point of view. So if you are checking just the expenditures, it's not relevant that which fuel we are using. From an engineering point of view, it can be a problem, but we are not engineers, so who cares? In the case of staging, I would prefer aluminum. Carbon composite looks sexy otherwise, so we could, maybe I will test it, because usually students are not doing this, so let's do something crazy. Just on the other hand, it will be really expensive, so yeah. Okay, so let's fill up an Excel sheet. And on CoSpace, you can see that I updated the folder structure, and Also, I updated the Excel sheet because this one already contains not just the cost structure, the profit and loss statement, and also the balance sheet here, but there is already a calculator for the bankruptcy ratio and also the value. Okay, so let's go through everything, because right now this is the baseline scenario, so how the company operates if we are keeping everything ceteris paribus. So this is the initial setup. So we can see here that already we have a vehicle. So this is the original vehicle. So this is the Vulcan 2.1. It has only one engine. It has a price of 10 million euros, and it's using hydrogen, and we have a chance to recover 23 million euros, and also second stage has this price, and at the end of the day, so even if we are recovering anything, mostly what we can recover here, yeah, so first stage, and so if we are able to land the first stage intact, then we don't have to manufacture this again. So this is how we can cut our costs. And in this case, the next launch price will be this one. So maybe I will use colors because it's not that intuitive that which. So we are able to reuse the engine. We can reuse the first stage body. We are not able to reuse solid rocket boosters. So practically we are, in this case, we are losing 27 million euros, but at least we can get these two things. Okay, we are not able to recover fuel, obviously. Fairing, it would be possible because SpaceX is doing this, but who cares about 7 million euros if if you are already burning up way more. And after that, there is this estimation that, okay, what is happening if we are able to reuse the first stage 10 times? So how much money can we secure in this case? So after that, we have this average fee or average cost if we are able to recover the first stage 10 times, and the rest should be rebuilt again and again in the second stage, and also we have to refuel and put the aerodynamic shell in the top. Then in average, the vehicle still costs 121 million euros, and still we need a margin to survive. So this is just the production cost. So after that margin, if it's 30%, okay, we can change it, so it's completely arbitrary number. But after that, the price tag will be really high, so it will be 157 million euros, which is absolutely not price competitive. So we have to cut our costs to, yeah, and at least it should be 59 million euros. So let's create an alternate save. I will call it a sample because this is my sample submission. So let's say that target price tag must be 59, because in this case this will provide us the highest launch cadence. So hopefully if we are able to scale up launch numbers, then we can earn way more money. Yeah. Okay, so also what you can see here, practically we don't need this At the beginning it seemed to be a great idea, but practically it's completely redundant to have anything like this in an empty sheet. So what we have here already is that the probabilities of failure. So we have a separated table for that one. So we have to add the engine's explosion or failure probabilities, which is given by the case study here. And okay, the staging. So the rocket body's probability of failure was determined here. So if we are using the traditional aluminum, which is a well-known material, everybody uses, or most of the companies are using this for many decades now, so they understand that how welding and other things is working there. But still we can say that, okay, there is a learning curve. In the case of carbon fiber, once you are able to understand that how to build this, usually they are not falling to pieces. So at least in the case of Rocket Lab, they had no failure because of the structure. They had failure because of engine failure. When they were relighting the second stage, it was kicking out some electrical circuit because it created an electrical surcharge and some magnetic thing happened and other components were shutting down. So they had other issues with their engine, but never with staging. So practically we can say that carbon composite can be good, just they are expensive. Okay, so this should be determined. And after that, probability of gaining revenue. So practically what we need here, that when it goes up, it should not fall to pieces. So this is why we have this, that 1 minus this probability and 1 minus also this probability, so they are multiplying. None of them should fail. And in this case we can see that already the probability is quite high, but it's increasing. Then the second thing, that the first stage should land. So after we delivered our mission happily, then it should come back because we need to recover this or save this cost. And we can see that yes, probability of explosion can be quite high. And we can see that this is quite a romantic assumption, so it doesn't matter that what we are building here, the probabilities are always the same, so the company still must learn it. It's not depending on any kind of platform. I did not want it to overcomplicate anything, but this is what we were able to see if we are checking the SpaceX data. And after that, why is this 0? Probability of first stage reuse. I did not use this later on because it's... yeah. Okay, because after that we can see that how many missions do we have, and this was explosion and the other was already a success. Yeah, okay, this is the right one. So I'm zooming in. So probability of first stage reuse is that, okay, we already have the success probability, but still this one is a failure probability, so 1 minus failure probability multiplied by the success of ascent, then it will create the probability of reuse. So we can see that we have to survive until the 3rd year, because in the first 2 years we don't have cost competitiveness due to reusability. Just okay, now we have 60%. It's quite high, but it's still close to 50%. But in the 3rd year, 90% it's good enough. Okay, and after that still we have to define that how many missions do we have probability of reusing the engines. And if we are checking this sheet here, you can see already that there is a round down function. So it means that if we have a chance to have an engine or have a vehicle back or first stage back, then it will be highlighted here. So this part you don't have to modify anything. This will be automatic completely, except that the number of missions must be changed manually, because right now this is not meeting. But what matters for us that in this case the Excel sheet automatically computes that how many first stages must be built, so we don't have to do this manual labor at all because it's estimated. Okay, if we are checking the profit and loss statement, then okay, we can see that fiscal year we are 1 year lag behind. Just I did not want it to change all the numbers, so let's say that okay, we are starting in 2022, and after that we have a 5-year ahead projection, because when we will do the valuation, then it's always easier to have 5-year ahead estimation, and then we can estimate all the cash flows, salvage value of the assets and so on. And since the company is growing and changing its behavior, that's why it was also necessary to see what is happening 5 years ahead. Also we can have the launch number here. Launch price is a fixed price, and it's coming from the other sheet with the costs. And okay, multiplied launch number, and after the probability of gaining revenue, it's also coming from the other sheet, so we don't have to do anything here. Then the revenue is computed this way. Probability of first stage reuse is also coming automatically. We don't need any modification, and these numbers are also coming that okay, we don't, how many first stages do we need to build? New first stage number, first stage cost. We can see that still spending on first stages should be increasing, because if launch cadence increases, then we need to build something. Just after that we are reaching a plateau when we are reusing again and again, and we have a fleet of first stages. So it's like building a locomotive which pulls trains, so you can recycle them, but you have to reach a size of the fleet at the beginning, while at the same time second stages must be built again, so we are littering the space with them, or sooner or later they are falling back, but until. Okay, cost of sold goods. So first stage, second stage, fuel, fairing, and so on. So these are all together. The gross profit margin, this is just calculated, so we can see that where we are here. Okay, wages. We have no idea about wages, because when I was able to dig up the number, I was able to see that right now 321 people are working at the company. But I have no idea what is the composition, so we cannot say that okay, let's fire the accountants or anything like this, because there is no breakdown that who is an engineer, who is an accountant, who is working at the level of marketing, so we have no idea. So unfortunately the HR part of the game is missing, so let's keep them. But also, if you want, you can fire some people, so you can still say that okay, let's cut 10% of the costs. For me, it doesn't matter so much, just we have no idea what is the quality behind these numbers. And actually after that we can have this average gross wage. I increased it to double. I don't know why, but it seemed to be a great idea, and after that we have this number. So mostly we are not able to be competitive because of cutting wages, which is interesting, because United Launch Alliance, which was the original launch provider for the NASA and also for the for the Space Force or Air Force before of that, they started to cut the cost of their main launch vehicle by decreasing wages. So this happened in the industry, that they were cutting cafeteria back, they were cutting personnel back, they were cutting even wages back to maintain some kind of cost competitiveness, which is disastrous because they're supposed to invest into technology, not reducing wages. So it's quite stupid. Okay, and even they are developing a new launch vehicle, but only the engine part will be recovered by using an inflatable heat shield, which was tested several months ago. Just it's not propulsive landing, and you are not able to use it immediately. Just you have to put another tank on the top of it. So it seems to be quite useless, but we will see when it will operate at all. Okay, depreciation, it's coming from the balance sheet. That's the other thing. So if you are checking the balance sheet of the company, then I was processing all the numbers coming from the official data set, and we can see that, okay, they have investments. What kind of investments is not disclosed. Okay, at least in the level of property, I started to create a depreciation of 20 years. So let's assume that all their property will be depreciated within 20 years, which is quite usual in accounting, and we don't have additional investments into property. So let's use the already existing hangars, building areas, vehicle assembly buildings, launch pad, and so on. And what is the tricky part, and this is the biggest concern here, that as you can see, majority of the assets are intangible goods. And what is this? This can be trademark, this can be patents, this can be intellectual property rights. So this can be so many different things. Part of them maybe could be sold. So maybe we could sell some of our, or not just sell them, but providing license for other companies. So to manufacture same thing, just not using our own manufacturing lines, but still they can use some of our technologies. But since there is no disclosed data about this, I did not want it to modify this. If you are able to find anything, then you can use it in your own solution. Okay, so after that, depreciation is defined, earnings before interest and taxes. So let's take all the revenues, which is in the green line, and then all the relevant costs. So stages or the vehicle, wages, depreciation. So it's quite a simplified earning structure. After that, different margins are calculated, and it just makes our job easier if we want to compare the different assignments. So it's for me it's the funny part. And after that, financial revenues. So we can assume that if the company is profitable, they can put the money into a bank deposit and then be happy with the interests. So this is where these interests should supposed to appear, just they are not appearing. Paid interest, right now we don't have much debt, so it's also missing from here. Hedge expenditure, so once we will dealing with the foreign exchange risk, then when we have options fees, we can add this here, or when we have financial lease expenditures, then we can also add this here. And at the end of the day, financial profit will be also financial revenues minus all the related costs, and after that, pre-tax profit is the EBIT plus financial profit together. and practically a bit minus financial profit right now. So this is. So first of all, let's remove this negative debt numbers because that one is disturbing me. Okay, so now paid interest, they are okay. So it's not red anymore. And still we have to go back to the debt because still the company will be in losses in no time once we start our development. So why is this still profitable? Okay, here it will be not profitable anymore. So sooner or later we will lose our market. Just it's strange that how can it exist at all. Yeah. Second thing that we should check the interest rates because when the case study was created a year ago, these were the interest rates for corporate bond yields for French companies in AAA ratings, but since then time has passed, so let's check that if we are zooming in. So if we are checking the different asset classes like fixed income bonds and corporate bonds, and once this loading in, and then this is a French company, so let's check France. Okay. Now we have nice numbers. And even it should have some details, so not just the. If I'm clicking on it, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So we can see that with the general increase of the inflation, interest rates and also bond yields started to increase. Still this is real or negative real interest rate, because we know that at the same time inflation is around 10% in the Eurozone. So let's see inflation in France. Okay, 7%. So so it's still a negative number, but for us what matters more that we can upgrade this percentages because it will make everything more realistic. And I'm using the zero rate because in this case there are no additional options, changes and so on in the, so not using the yield but the zero yield, because some biases are removed from the yield here. Later on we will test it, that what is the sensitivity of the company if we are changing these numbers here. So we will have some optimistic and pessimistic scenarios, and also we can see that finally negative yields disappeared from the market because yeah, that was terrible. Oh, okay, we should keep this. And I think that the several, yeah, there is also a feedback loop which was necessary, because if we have any kind of revenues, yeah, so the profit of the year will be added to the cash reserve. So I'm not removing this one, but if we can if we have cash reserve, okay, at the first year we don't have financial revenue, but after that, in the second year, once we have this money, at the end of the year, still we should have some thing. And the next question is that, okay, we need additional interest rates for savings, so let's not let's not use the same numbers here. So let's go back to asset classes and fixed income bonds, and let's invest this money into government bonds because this is the easiest indicator for us. So France, obviously the interest rate will be lower because the French government hopefully is less risky than our company. And oh my god, so usually yield curves are increasing nicely, so they have a steepness which is positive, and so this is when what happens when the market expects increasing inflation on the short run, but after that they are thinking that it will be moderated out, and this is highly non-usual form for the yield curve, that they are saying that, oh, for 1 year ahead still the inflation can be high, but after that later on it will be decreasing 5 years ahead, and after that still what we can see that 15 years, 17 years and so on, that is the time value of money, so they don't want to so this is the preference. And after that 50 years, it can be also the reason that there are not so many bonds on the market with 15 years maturity, so that's why they are not affected as much. The trade is also limited in this market segment, so that's why it can go downwards. But let's focus on our own yields here. So practically we don't need it for the first year, we can have this in the second year because I don't want to have a let's use the same formatting, so format painter, let's come here, and I have to change always the stupid decimal points to decimal commas, even if the Excel is running in English mode, because in Central Europe, so in Germany, in Hungary, in Austria and elsewhere, people are using decimal commas. I don't know why, but just to make my life miserable. And let's add this thing here as well, because still we have this adorable 2.4 million euros at the beginning at the bank deposit, so yeah. Okay, and after that previous year's number plus profit from the previous year, tip tip tip. Good, so we are accumulating now, and also we can see that paid interest, sorry, financial revenues are financial equal and the cash reserve. Ain't so much, but we are quite happy. So interest on BBB rated debt Not cash reserve, because cash is not paying interest, so interest on savings. Yeah. Okay. Let's say let's write it here that French government bonds, because in this case at least we can remember this is French GBB. Yeah. Good. So after I did the housework, the rest is supposed to be okay. Yeah, okay, so this one is working well. And also I'm cutting back the zeros, because this is looking ugly when we have so many decimals, so it's nicer. Okay, so let's start research and development. So let's design a rocket which will earn our money. So if we are an economist, then we know that we need engines. So usually students are preferring Prometheus engines and Raptor too, because they are efficient, so I cannot do this. I always wanted to test the Merlin engine. It's using kerosene, it's performing nicely, so... And also I will burn a lot of money by using the carbon composite, so... Okay, so Merlin 1D. But in this case, because I need 9 of them in the first stage, so 9. In the second stage, 1 is enough. So, because the mass is smaller. Price of this vehicle or engine is okay, 2. Okay, fuel type. Rocket propellant 1 is the official name, but it's kerosene. So just it's not the same. So it's much more clearer than what is loaded into airplanes, but okay. So we have kerosene and the body of the rocket. We could make a composite rocket, so the lower part could be made from carbon fiber, because this one is recovered and this one is expensive, and the upper part, which is burning up anyways, it can be built from aluminium. So I'm the nightmare of an engineer right now, but yeah. And also probability of explosion is limited, so let's not forget about these things, so we can 1.4, sorry. So okay, so let's highlight it again. So this thing is let's use blue. So data is coming this direction. Okay, this one is related to staging, so this will be carbon composite. So we are building a Ferrari of the rockets, because it's light. And as you can see that there is this mass number, so because you know that 75% of the costs are related to the first stage, so all the tanks, fuel and oxidizer tanks are located here, and they must be way bigger, while in the second stage the number of thingies are smaller and the mass is smaller. Uh-oh. Maybe I'm not able to do this. No, I can do this, because this is the fixed number of the rocket body. So altogether it would be 18 million. Altogether it would be 79. But we can recover it once we are able to land this. And okay, this will be yellow. And still we are keeping aluminium because, yeah, doesn't matter what is burning up in the atmosphere. But since Merlin 1D is efficient, that's why we can get rid of the solid rocket boosters. So we can cut it to zeros, and okay, still we have to deal with the fuel. So it will be engine related, but we have to talk about the stage explosion. So we can see it's 5% and after that 1. Okay, I mixed the two things together, so let's say that majority is coming from here. So okay, from I should change by the weights, but let's not make everything difficult. And okay. Okay, then probability of gaining revenue, it's quite high. Because we are using an already existing engine, so that's why it's easier. First stage landing probability. We can see that it's fixed, so the company must learn. We are not able to avoid these things because still we have to write software, still we have to put some physical assets on the vehicle, so it's we have this learning curve. Probability of first stage reuse is this one. And the problem is that still we are still the fuel must be because in the past it was using hydrogen, so maybe instead of this 600,000 euros per ton's price, it's just this number here. What is this? The amount necessary to fill up the vehicle. Yeah, this is the fuel requirement in tonnage. So, since kerosene is denser material than hydrogen, then that's why it's heavier. So, okay, we are adding the fuel, fairing. Okay, we are not recovering this, and now we can see that this amount of money can be recovered, this amount of money will be burning up in the atmosphere. We can be happy about this, but still we are quite expensive with my stupid carbon fiber based vehicle. Even if I'm cutting back the margin to 1, I think we are not able to fit into the desired range of pricing. Yeah, so we have to be under 400, and this is far from 400. Oh, I should abandon my beautiful carbon, but in this case it will be so easy. So I cannot do this. Sorry, we have to go back here. Oh, let's keep it and let's have stupid pricing. So okay, so at least I was able to cut back the margin to 10%, and yeah, my launch cadence will be terrible, but at least we can see that what is happening if we are combining great engines with stupid ideas. So, and in this case my launch number will not increase at all, but I have the potential to save expenditures because of reusability. So my market share will not increase, but my costs supposed to decrease. Okay, so revenues, they are the same, and we can have quite high probability of gaining revenues. Also we have, so otherwise I should increase this. Why is this increased? You should not increase, my dear. Yeah, it had the potential to be increased, just somehow someone designed an useless engine, so, or useless vehicle. Okay. And still we can compensate this one because, okay, first stage is to build, we are exploring everything. But in the past, because we had such a launch cadence, it was necessary to build stages again and again because I was running out of them easily. But right now I don't have to do that anymore. So still we can say that, okay, in the first year we are not recovering anything, but in the second year we can possibly reuse 3 stages, so we can have 3 stages. Then in the third year we can recover 4 stages. And it's not remembering the previous year, so we can say that, okay, but we already have 3 stages, so -3. So we don't have to build, okay, but we have to deal with negative numbers, so this number is smaller than 0, then it will be 0, otherwise it will be this number. So in this case I was able to say that, okay, if we don't have to build, then it's not necessary because already we have 3 stages and it can be operational. And still we have the fleet. So practically we don't have to do this. We don't have to build anything at all because now we have the and it remembers. So yes. So practically also we can cause this way if we have this really small market niche segment. But in the first year we are in a terrible state. So we can see that the entire earnings before interest and taxes will be 1 million euros. And that's all. So that's why nobody should do this, because at least I don't need extraordinary funding costs or needs, because I have this EBIT. I don't have so much debt, so I have some kind of financial revenues, but also the paid interest on the debt are the same, so I don't have financial profit. I have the pre-tax profit. Pre-tax margin is rubbish, and at the end of the day the profit of the year is 1.4 million euros. Oh my god. So my cash reserve will increase, and in the second year revenues are increasing a bit. Costs, because still have to manufacture the stages, will increase, but after that I can earn more money, because my launch number was increasing by 1. So, and I can reuse the first stages. So practically we are earning money because of first stages. Just you can see that sooner or later it will decline, because I was not able to scale up the company, and sooner or later we will run out of contracts. So yeah. But at least we can see that how not to do, and the company is still earning money, so maybe something happens in the future, then they can survive in a more efficient way. But in this case we don't have to increase debt level, so now we don't have problem with the debt. If there would be negative numbers, then obviously the debt should be increased by something, but this scenario doesn't have such a need at all. And of course we can ask the question that how is this thing is happening, that okay, my asset side is increasing continuously while the liability side is not, because the problem is that shareholders' equity, it should be increasing. So let's look for the functions. They should have a parallel increase. Okay, so somehow they are not fitting to each other. But the second thing is that dividend must be paid. So if we are saying that okay, 20% is the dividend, then we should add it to the game. So this one multiplied by 0.2. Sorry. 0.2. Yeah. So, okay, we have to pay some money for our shareholders because they are nice people. So the generation of cash reserves is a bit more limited. Okay. Okay, so returned earnings are a bit flawed in this case. But I don't want to make corrections. We can leave with that one. Yeah. So that would be your job for next week to build up something which is less useless, because if we are comparing the value of this company right now with the original setup, I have to check back. Yeah, that was the original case study. Just I'm correcting this mistake and after that loading it back. Again, yeah, so am I able to find the bug? Then let's remove it. There were no other bugs if I remember well. Yeah. So if you are comparing the companies, so the first year they will survive, and after that they start to go down because the launch vehicle is too expensive, and sooner or later they're selling their services an underpriced way, and the value is 1,600 million euros, but the reason is only because they have this enormous cushion of intangibles. So these intangible goods are keeping the company afloat from valuation point of view, which is a terrible scenario. So at least mine scenario, which is also not that great, but at least I was able to create profit, not just living from intangibles. So it's 500, and if we are checking the bankruptcy ratios, then the Atmanzi score should be between these ranges. So this is, and in the happy scenario, it should be above this green line, as we will see during next week. And the dark channel scenario that it's saying that they are going to default. Also, no probability of default is also going from 30% to 100% within 3 years. And okay, in the new scenario, now it's better. What happens with Atmanzi? Okay, we should look for bugs here because it's still dying. That's why Ozono score is much better, because it's based on logistic regression, and it gives us exact probability of default. So we can see that from 50% it's going to 30%, which is quite the same like where we started here, but at least it's not jumping into the sky. So yeah, so we have an added value. Good. Okay, so if you change the numbers here, then and also here in the colorful areas, then after that you don't have, and yeah, you should not forget about the solid rocket boosters. So I will also color this thing. It's engine related because in the case study it's written there that how many SRVs are needed. So if you are checking the description, then it will give you the right implications. Okay, so let's make it the title and sample assignment. Yeah. So, and also it's nice to say or start with summarizing the problems. So The management identified the following key issues with the company. So first of all, launch cadence is low because the company has lost its price competitiveness due to the lack of partial reusability of the first stage engine and body. Maintaining the same business model will result, we can say that it will result default within 3 years, because practically this matrix says so. Also we can see that they will run out of money in the second year. So two to 3 years. Okay, and that's why the company must develop new launch vehicle with partial reusability in mind. Okay, so and of course we can have some what is this, vision or mission? I always confusing them with each other. So mission. Have you ever watched the Silicon Valley? It's a series in HBO. So to make the world a better place through cloud computing, and always there was some kind of solution. So to make the world praised by usually these missions are quite useless, so that's why I'm using them. Okay, so launch vehicle, main components. Practically this is where we can copy this table here, and we should write some introductory text. So the first stage.
So we could change the name of the component?
Yes, of course, of course. So it's completely up to you. So this is my sample assignment. That's why I was playing with. No, I'm I'm copying from the wrong Excel sheet. Okay, I should close this one. Yeah, because this is my beautiful design. And
Are we able to just do like you have like, is that to make the company profitable
yes,
at the end?
yes. You want to earn as much money as possible.
So we have to come up with the perfect plan.
Yes. There are, I think, many different perfect approaches. This one is not that one. but still I can make money. But I think it would be really hard to optimize everything. Okay, by using aluminium as a whole, it's quite obvious. And also in the case of engines, you can optimize a lot. Okay, so the first stage is made from carbon fiber because it's sexy. Fiber due to its durability, lightweight, and because of its color, and okay, it's also I cannot write that. So durability, lightweight, and because we can recover it, and even if it's expensive, we can recover it. Then energy is flight proven, and it is able to throttle down, which is necessary for propulsive landing. Unfortunately, if you are building a rocket at this size, you are not able to land with a parachute. SpaceX tried to do that once, and the vehicle was disintegrating even before they tried to open the parachute. So the speed is so high, so flying through Mach 3 or 4 at the beginning, and you are not able. So you have to reignite the engine, otherwise it's falling to pieces due to g-forces. And after that you have to able to slow down, and that's why you need different speeds and throttle levels. Yeah. Aluminium or aluminum, it depends on we are using US or British English. I was looking for a lot of on different websites, different databases that carbon fiber prices are so high, are realistically high, but I was not able to find different numbers. So if someone can find a database where you can say that we can build this in a cheaper way, then it's okay. But when I did this, I was collecting data for weeks and practically for years, but when the final completion was yeah. So launch price. On average, the unit cost is around okay. So width italic. The 10%. Five. Oh, come on, why are you using this formatting? Okay. Yep, at least we were able to achieve something. I think that we can combine them together. So, and so then we have just to copy the profit and loss statement. Oh my god, still we have to change these numbers in the baseline scenario, because I think that yeah, interest rates will remain the same, and financial revenues must be added. Maybe we can save the company. No, we are not. At least we tried. Here we can say, okay, now we will end up soon, just we can say that if this number is negative, then this number will be added to the previous year's debt. If not, then it will remain there. Yeah, circular reference. Okay, come on. Because in this case, even if the company is in losses, then they start to finance themselves through debt issuance. Just the problem is here that in this case we have to cover our debt based on the previous year, and now it will be not going crazy. Why? Yeah, okay, now it's good. So we can say that to not go down, they have to increase the debt continuously, so sooner or later they will run out of money, one way or another. Yeah. So let's copy everything back to the case study. Okay, baseline will be saved also to the, not to the downloads, because there it will be a disappearance, but in the MATLAB folder, because this is mine. And also today we were building rocket seeds. Okay, my sample is not able to deal with the same thing because I'm already in profit, so